Hi everyone, a long time no see. I have not filmed a video in probably about 2 to 3 months. It's been such a long time. I've just had a lot going on in my life and not been very motivated, and sort of this channel has just taken a bit of a backseat. But I'm kind of wanting to get a little bit back into it, but I thought I'll film a video. I got really in the mood to film a video, so I set my camera up and everything. Both my camera batteries are dead. So I'm filming this on my phone, so it might look and sound a little bit different, but I'm just gonna have to put up with how it is really. That's just how this video is going to be. But anyway, this video is going to be a wrap up for June, July and August. So June I read a reasonable amount in, and then July and August I read basically nothing. I read a tiny little bit. I just hadn't been in the mood. I couldn't get into a book. I was just in a massive reading slump. So I'm going to go through, I've written down here. So here are the books I read in June and then July and August. And I also DNF'd quite a lot of books because I wasn't in the mood for them and I just wasn't getting through them. So anyway, I'm going to start with June and just go through the ones that I read. It seems like such a long time ago since I've read these books as well, so I'm probably not going to remember them that well. But anyway, let's just get into it. The first book I read in June was An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn, which is the third book in the Bridgerton series, and this one was Benedict and Sophie's story, and I think this is what season 4 of Bridgerton's actually going to be based on. So I wanted to listen to this one and I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. I did really like their story. It wasn't like it wasn't the best book I've ever listened to, but it was entertaining and I did enjoy it. I really like the characters and I like their story. I'm really looking forward to when Bridgerton season 4 comes out, even though I think it's going to be like 2026 or something, so it's going to be a very long wait. I also listened to Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, so I'm working my way through the Harry Potter audiobooks and then watching the film after each one, which has been really fun. And this one I gave 4.5 stars. I did really enjoy this one. I feel like this was the book that is most different from the film. I don't know why, I just think they missed out so many things from this book, because this book is actually the thickest book in the series. Really enjoyed it, as always. I knew I would. It's Harry Potter and I really like the audiobooks and the books and the world in general. So yeah, 4.5 stars for that one. And I also listened to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which I gave 5 stars. So yeah, that one's one of my favourites. I think the last 2 books are probably my favourite. Sorry if you can hear my cats like fighting in the background, they're just having a little bit of a play fight. And the next book that I read, so I did read a really thick book. I read Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, and this book I really enjoyed. It's such a thick book. I don't know how many pages is in this. It's like 700, nearly 800 pages. And this is so good. Johnny and Shannon, they're literally so cute together, and I really like how Johnny treats her and is just so protective of her and stuff. But before you go into these books, please know that there is like a lot of trauma and stuff that goes on in this. There's a lot of things in both Johnny and Shannon's life which are really difficult for them. So it's not like a happy like lovey romance type of thing, but it is such a good story and I really loved it. And I did also actually start the second one, Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh, and I'm actually on page 114, so I'm not very far into it, but I kind of put it down for a little while because I felt like I needed some things I could get through a lot quicker because I've been in a bit of a reading slump. So I've sort of put that aside for now, not because I wasn't enjoying it, I just feel like I needed something that wasn't 800 pages long pretty much. This book I gave it 4.75 stars, absolutely loved it. Wasn't quite 5 stars I wouldn't say, but I did absolutely love it and I highly recommend this series so far. And then I have got a reading vlog based around the next few books because I did like a summary reading vlog, which was my last video, which I think was in June. So yeah, that was my last video. And one of the books I read was Happy Place by Emily Henry, which is my book club pick for that month. And I didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to really love this book, but I didn't really, unfortunately. I gave it a 3.75 stars, but in hindsight, I'd probably maybe just give it 3 stars because I didn't really enjoy it that much and I didn't connect to any of the characters. I don't feel like I knew much about any of the characters, and it just took me a little. I had to kind of force myself to read it because I just wasn't loving it. But I have got this really nice sprayed special edition, but my cat chewed the corner, so that's annoying. This book is basically about Harriet and Wynne. They're the 2 main characters and they're in a relationship. They've been in a relationship for a long time and they're part of this like big friendship group that meet up. They go on holiday sort of thing once a year every summer, and they're going to meet up at this like holiday home thing that one of the friends owns for the last time because the house is being sold. So they obviously want this summer and this holiday to be perfect. But Harriet and Wynne have actually broken up, but they haven't told any of their friends yet, so they're sort of pretending to be together still throughout this holiday. and it goes like each chapter is kind of one back in the past, one back in the future, and it alternates like that. But all the chapters back in the past I wasn't very interested in at all. I feel like the ones in the future are a lot more interesting. But yeah, I don't know, was very disappointed about this one because I thought this was going to be a really good read. Low-key! Stop it. And the next summary book that I read was 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand, and this one didn't catch my attention straight away. When I started reading it, it took me a while to kind of get into it, but the last sort of a third of the book I did really enjoy. I can't remember it too much, but I know it was about two characters that meet up once every summer. I can't remember when it was. I think it was like Labor Day or something. Labor Day weekend, they'd meet up and spend that weekend together every single year for 28 years in the summer. So obviously it goes through their relationship and stuff, but also at the same time they are dating other people. So that's very interesting. And there's just a bit of drama that goes on, as you can imagine. But yeah, I did kind of enjoy this one towards the end, and I gave this a 3.5 stars. I must say also, this book was quite descriptive in certain parts. I find myself sort of skimming big paragraphs that were just sort of description and stuff just to get through it. But yeah, other than that, it was an enjoyable read. And then I also picked up The Villa by Rachel Hawkins because I thought this was going to be quite a summery read because it's based in Italy over summer. Well, I thought it was over summer. I can't remember if it was actually based in summer, but it was like in Italy at a villa. And I thought, you know, kind of gives me summery vibes. But no, it was definitely not a very summery book. To be honest, again, I can't remember a huge amount about this book because it was such a long time since I read it. And it didn't really stick in my memory. I found the characters very boring, the book quite boring. It was okay, it wasn't like the most boring. I did get through it, but low-key! I also didn't find this very thrilling. So it was a bit of a disappointing book for a summery thriller, or what I thought, because it wasn't thrilling and it wasn't summery. So I probably won't ever think about this book again, and I don't really recommend it either. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I don't remember liking it enough to give it a 3 stars, but maybe I did at the time. Maybe it kind of warranted that at the time, but now I've sort of sat on it for a couple of months. Not the best, but anyway, apparently I gave it 3 stars. And that was everything I read in June. So then moving on to July, there was a couple of books that I started and didn't finish. So I started reading Lucy in the Sky by Paige Toon. Well, this is a weird one, right? So I started listening to this by audiobook on Everand, which used to be Scribd, which is like an audiobook subscription service, because I was struggling to get into anything. I thought, right, I need some audiobooks. So I subscribed to them for 1 month and I listened to the audiobook of this. But the audiobook was literally like an hour long. I was like, it skipped tons of it. And I just don't understand. So if anyone's listened to this audiobook on that app, please let me know, because it kind of told me what the ending was and the beginning, and it skipped out tons of it, and I was just like, what is going on? So when I started reading it, I read it again, like I started reading it physically from the beginning, and I got up to chapter 3, I didn't get very far. It kind of just took a weird, I don't know, it was so bizarre how the audiobook was an hour long, but it was sort of a complete story, but it wasn't. It was very, very weird. I don't know what was going on. So anyway, I decided to put it down because I couldn't be bothered, because I kind of knew what was going to happen because of the audiobook. But yeah, so I kind of lost interest, so I'm not sure if I'm ever going to come back to this or not. I didn't end up finishing that one. And I also did start Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I thought this would be quite a good book to get me out of slump because it's kind of written in like all sorts of formats. So it's not like just writing and stuff, it's just, yeah, a bit more interesting. So I thought it might kind of get me out of a reading slump, but it did not. I got up to page 100. And then I put it down and haven't picked it up since. I mean, I will pick this back up, but I just obviously wasn't in the mood for it. So that's that. And I did also start reading Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. I started reading that on my Kindle, and I just don't think it's my sort of book. I don't like the characters. I don't like the relationship that's starting between the two of them. It was like an arranged marriage, forced marriage kind of thing between two like mafia families. And the idea I thought was it would be quite a thrilling book and quite good, but I just found it a little bit boring. So I might go back to it, I might not. Please let me know if it's worth continuing or not, because at the moment it's sort of just put to the side. But I did actually complete 2 books in July. One of them was The Longest Summer by Paige Toon, and to be honest, I can't remember this at all. Let me just see if the back jogs my memory. So there's this girl called Laura that was married to Matthew. They'd been married 7 months, and then she found out that he cheated on her on his stag do and got a girl pregnant. So obviously that kind of comes up, and obviously if I was her, I would definitely not be staying with him, that would be it. But yeah, she ends up going on this holiday, and it ends up being a long holiday, hence the name. And she meets this guy called Leo, and then she's kind of conflicted of what to do, whether to come back to her husband or not, or whether to stay with this new guy. And it's just sort of her journey with that. So it was quite a good book. It was I don't really agree with some of the characters in this. Some of the characters were not very nice. Like her family, her parents, that were kind of convincing her to get back with her husband that had cheated on her and stuff. Like, no, that's not okay. It wasn't too bad. It was an entertaining read, so I gave it 3.5 stars. And then I read Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. I listened to some of this by audio and some of it the actual book. I kind of was flipping between the two as whatever my mood was taking me, and I did manage to get through it. This is the 4th book in the Twisted series, so it's the final book in that series. This probably wasn't one of my favourites in the series. I think my favourite in the Twisted series is probably the 2nd book. But this one was okay. It was just a bit long for what it was. I don't think it needed to be quite this long. I don't know how many pages this is. Like 500 and something pages. So it's probably just a bit too long for a romance for me. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. But it was an enjoyable book, and this is based around the characters Christian and Stella. But to be honest, I can't really remember the story. So that just proves to you how much I've thought about this since I finished it. Can't really remember it, but I gave it 3.5 stars. And then we get to August, where I feel like I read even less because I didn't even start other books and DNF them or whatever. I read 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, which was recommended to me by a friend, and she said it was really, really good. And she said it'll probably get me out of my little reading funk because she read it within like a day. And I did really enjoy this, to be honest. It was really, really sweet. But I would say look up the trigger warnings, because like there's certain things in it which could be not triggering for me, but like basically there's health related things in this, and I have quite bad health anxiety, so reading about things like that kind of gives me a horrible feeling inside and makes me feel a bit anxious. But it was still a really enjoyable read, but just like bear that in mind if you are like that and you don't really want to read something about health problems and things like that. It is a very, very sad book, and I must admit I did cry at the very end. I didn't think I was going to, because I didn't cry throughout like the whole of the book until it got to the very end, and then I just sat there sobbing. Anyway, I haven't even really said what this book's about, but it's basically about Poppy and Rune, and they like make friends. They live next door to each other, and they meet each other when they're about, I don't know how old they were, like 5 or 7 or something, and they instantly basically fall in love, form this massive friendship and stuff. And right at the beginning of the book, her nan passes away and gives her this jar which has like 1,000 hearts in it, and they're to be like her 1,000 boy kisses, which is why it's called 1,000 boy kisses. So Poppy and Rune, obviously they decide they're going to have her 1,000 boy kisses with him, and then there's obviously some bad things that happen, and yeah, it just gets very, very sad, and the ending did make me cry. So I've heard a lot of people do cry at this book as well, so if you want something that's sad and potentially going to make you cry, pick this one up. Oh, and I gave it 4 stars. And then I also listened to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the final book in the Harry Potter series. I've just finished it actually yesterday as I'm filming this, so I'm going to be watching the film either tonight or tomorrow night, so that would be good. And I gave this one 5 stars because, as I said, I think the last 2 Harry Potter books are my favourite. And then just to end this video off, I'm currently reading The Teacher by Freida McFadden, and I'm nearly halfway. And I am actually really enjoying this. I just thought I needed something quick, like a thriller, because I'm still in my reading slump. I'm just struggling to get through books at the moment. So I thought I'd read something that's really quick, and the chapters in Freida McFadden's books are always super, super short, so that kind of helps me get through them a lot quicker. And this book follows 2 characters. There's Eve, who's married to, can't remember the guy's name, Nathan, and they're both teachers at this school. So that's one point of view, and they're not really happy in their marriage. And she's also cheating on him as well, so there's that. And then the other point of view is from Addie, which is a student at this school, and she had a thing, well, I don't even know what's happened yet, it's not said what happened, but there's something that went on with her and another teacher, which lost his job. He doesn't work at the school anymore, so obviously something went on there, but I'm not sure which. And yeah, I just don't really know what's going to happen with the rest of this, that they're sort of all intertwining, because both Eve and her husband Nathan, they both teach Addie, Obviously separately they do different subjects, but they both teach her. So, and one, like Nathan likes Addie and Eve doesn't. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but obviously something bad. Yeah, there's always massive plot twists in Frida McFadden's books. Hopefully there's going to be something that's going to blow my mind at the end. So that is my wrap up for the past 3 months. In case you wondered where I have been here, and I have been reading a little bit still, but I've just kind of been in a bit of a slump. So I'm not going to do a TBR for September, because I'm sort of just going to mood read, try and get myself back into the groove of things. I am kind of feeling though, because I've read quite a lot of romances over the past few months, I'm kind of feeling like I want to get back into my fantasy books. So I might start rereading the Throne of Glass series, because I know it's my favourite series of all time, so I know that's going to be something that's going to keep my interest. But also at the same time, I really want to read like Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I want to read those 2 books as well, so I've been looking forward to those, and I've heard they're really, really good. So, oh, and I also, like a few months ago, I bought Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I know loads of people have said they flew through and it was amazing. So that's another one that if I'm feeling a slumpy still, that I might pick up to hopefully try and get me out of my slump. We will see. I'm just fed up of not really being able to get through a book, and like I'm only reading like a few chapters at a time, whereas normally I could sit down and read for a couple hours non-stop and like get through books really quickly, but I've just not been able to do that recently, so it's quite sad, but hopefully I'll get back into it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it won't be as long between my videos as it was between my last video and this one, because I really want to get back into filming videos and uploading on here frequently again. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you hopefully in not too long. Bye.